Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is April 8th, 2023, and Barcelona are planning 120 million euros worth of player sales come this summer. Also, the club are considering a mass pay cut reduction for the entire first team players. And finally, Vitor Roque's father has made a demand of Barcelona if they plan to sign his son. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we'll begin with the news that Real Madrid just lost their match in La Liga against Villarreal 2-3. And with this, now Barcelona have an opportunity to increase their lead over Real Madrid by 15 points if they win their match against Girona come this Monday. Now, speaking of Barcelona's lead atop of La Liga table, Madrid-based media are now spinning the story that the reason why Barcelona are at the top is because Real Madrid don't want to win La Liga this season. And of course, this is absolutely BS. All they're doing is they're trying to discredit Barcelona's efforts and Barcelona's performance in the Spanish league, because statistically speaking, Barcelona are on their way to win this league with 100 points. They're also on their way to win this league with the least amount of goals conceded in the history of the Spanish league. And of course, Barcelona did beat Real Madrid 3 out of the 5 El Clasico matches this season. But of course, the Madrid-based media are not going to tell you all these statistics. And instead, they're going to try to discredit Barcelona's performance by saying that the only reason Barcelona can win La Liga is because Real Madrid are allowing us to do so. This is absolutely childish and pathetic by the Madrid-based media. And this is, of course, nothing new. When Real Madrid wins La Liga, all of a sudden La Liga is very important and shows consistency. But when Real Madrid loses it, it's because they didn't want to win it to begin with. When Real Madrid win the Copa del Rey, it's a very important achievement. But when Real Madrid loses the Copa del Rey, then all of a sudden it's a small trophy that only small teams care about, and so on and so forth. And it just goes to show you how pathetic this media is. Now, speaking of the match against Girona, this will be the match number 28 for Mark Ter Stegen. And by playing this match, Mark Ter Stegen will now be considered for the Zamora trophy, which is the trophy that's given to the goalkeeper at the end of the season who has conceded the least amount of goals. So it's kind of like the equivalent of the Golden Boot or the top scorer trophy that's given to the best striker with the most goals. Now, Mark Ter Stegen, despite being one of the best goalkeepers in the world, has never won the Zamora trophy. But he is definitely on his way to win one this season, because he has conceded the least amount of goals, not only in La Liga, but in the entire European continent. And if Mark Ter Stegen continues on this great performance that he's currently on, he could end up not only winning the Zamora trophy, but he could also win it with a historical record by conceding the least amount of goals in a season in the entire history of this trophy. Now, in order to be considered for the Zamora trophy, you have to play for at least 28 matches, and La Liga imposed this rule to make it fair. That way, you can't have a substitute goalkeeper just play one match, have 0 goals against him, and then he goes on to win the trophy with having allowed 0 goals or having conceded 0 goals, even though he only played 1 match. So in order to be able to be considered for this trophy, a goalkeeper has to play at least 28 matches in La Liga season. So by playing this match against Girona, Mark Ter Stegen will now qualify to be considered for this trophy, and I have no doubts that he will win it at the end of this season. Now, on to the news that Barcelona are planning 120 million euros worth of player sales come this summer. Now, as we've talked about many times before, Barcelona have the very difficult task of reducing their wage bill by 200 million euros. And this task just became more difficult as Barcelona are planning to move to the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic, as the Spotify Camp Nou will be closed for renovations. And given that the Olympic Stadium has half the capacity of the Spotify Camp Nou, Barcelona will lose close to 100 million euros next season due to that reduced capacity and the reduction in ticket sales. Now, Barcelona do have to also register the contracts of Gavi, Sergio Roberto, Marcos Alonso, Ronald Araujo, and they also have to renew the contracts of Alejandro Balde and Ousmane Dembele. And in order to be able to do all of this, Barcelona have to offload players come this summer. Now, Barcelona, of course, will be counting on selling all the players that are currently on loan, including Clement Lenglet and Trincao, both players who their deals are mostly complete, with Lenglet staying at Tottenham Hotspur next season and Trincao staying at Sporting Lisbon. Then there's also the players who will be coming back from loan, such as Nico, who Barcelona now consider that they will not be counting on him because of his disciplinary issues and because he hasn't really done well on his loan. So Nico will definitely be put up for sale. Then there's Abde, who for now could be the only player to come back from loan that Barcelona will be counting on. But nonetheless, if the club do receive a good offer from the Moroccan winger, then Barcelona will consider his sale. Now, there's also Umtiti, who Barcelona will now be receiving a 500,000 euro bonus because the French player just achieved 15 appearances with his Italian team Lecce. Because even though Barcelona did loan out Umtiti on a free loan and even paid for his salary, they did negotiate around 1.5 million euros in bonuses, which were based on performance. And one of these bonuses was if Umtiti achieved 15 appearances, then Barcelona would get paid 500,000 euros, which the Frenchman has achieved, and Barcelona will be receiving that money. Now, Barcelona are hoping that Umtiti stays in Lecce, but there are interest from other European clubs. So nonetheless, Umtiti will be sold come this summer. Now, Barcelona are also considering selling the players from the first team who haven't been getting much playing time this season. So those players are Ansu Fati, Ferran Torres, and Jordi Alba, who Barcelona will be hearing offers for come this summer. Now, of course, there is the scenario that players like Ansu, Ferran, and Jordi refuse to leave because they do have contracts with Barcelona. And in that case, Barcelona could consider selling players that Xavi would like to keep, such as Rafinha and Andreas Christensen, but this would only be done as a last recourse and only if Barcelona absolutely have to. Now, even if Barcelona absolutely have to sell some players that they don't want to sell, I think that it would be a huge mistake to sell Andreas Christensen because he has proven to be one of the best center backs in the world. So I definitely would love to see him continue on the team. But in the case of Rafinha, I've made my feelings very clear about the Brazilian. I think Barcelona should consider selling him, not just as a last recourse, but they should consider selling him right now because he simply does not have the level to be a Barcelona player. Now, if all of this fails and Barcelona are unable to offload enough players and generate enough income to register the contracts of the players that I've already mentioned, then Barcelona could consider a collective pay cut for all the players of the first team, which would equal to around a 15% for the entire squad. Now, it's reported that Barcelona have already begun initial talks with the players to see where they stand and whether they will be willing to reduce their collective pay by 15% come this summer. And there are some players who are willing to do this, with some other players who are not so inclined to do this, and with most of the players wanting to wait it out and see what happens. But nonetheless, this is a second option and not Barcelona's first option. Barcelona want to first offload players and see if they have enough margin to register the contracts of the new players. And if not, then they'll consider this group pay cut or this collective pay cut for players' salary. Now on to the news that Vitor Roque's father has made a demand of Barcelona if they want to consider signing his son. Now, as I reported previously, Vitor Roque was on a European tour where he met with clubs such as Chelsea, PSG, and Arsenal in order to discuss the possible signing of his son and to visit the facilities of those respective clubs. And he ended his European tour by visiting the city of Barcelona, where he visited the Spotify Camp Nou, the training facilities of Barcelona, and where he met with the board of director members such as Matteo Alemany and Jordi Cruyff. Now, during this meeting, Barcelona made it very clear to Vitor Roque's father their real intention that not only do they want to sign his son, but they also want to make him into their future center forward and their future star. And it looks like Vitor Roque's father informed the club that his son is dying to come to Barcelona and would love to wear the Barcelona jersey. Now, of course, Barcelona are going through a difficult financial situation, which make the signing of Vitor Roque a bit difficult. But Vitor Roque's father informed the club that Atletico Paranaense are willing to work with Barcelona to try to facilitate the transfer of Vitor Roque and try to work out some kind of payment plan to accommodate Barcelona's financial situation. But they're only going to do this based on one demand, which Vitor Roque's father informed the club. Now, it looks like Atletico Paranaense are demanding that both Matteo Alemany and Jordi Cruyff travel to Brazil and meet personally with Atletico Paranaense's directors in order to negotiate this deal. And this is something that, of course, we have seen in the past, where when Barcelona wanted to sign Xavi Hernandez as the coach, his Qatari club Al Sadd demanded that Barcelona travel there personally and not send emissaries. And we also saw that with the Neymar signing, where Santos also requested the same kind of deal. And that's usually done as more to get media attention, because when you have clubs like Atletico Paranaense who don't really get much media attention on the global stage, they look to do something like this in order to generate more media attention by saying, look, Barcelona directors are personally coming to get one of our players. Now, Barcelona have not said whether they are going to be traveling to Brazil to meet with Atletico Paranaense. So we're going to have to see where this ends up. And we're going to have to see whether Barcelona will have enough financial capital to sign Vitor Roque. Now, speaking of meetings, it's reported that Xavi met with Sergio Busquets after the defeat in Clásico at the hands of Real Madrid 0-4. And Xavi communicated to Sergio Busquets that he still counts on him and he still considers him a fundamental piece of his team. And Xavi also informed Sergio Busquets that he still wants him to extend his contract by one more season. And it seems that Sergio Busquets informed Xavi and the club that he still needs more time in order to make a final decision on whether he's going to be leaving the club at the end of the season when his contract expires, or whether he's going to be renewing for one more season. Now, as I mentioned in the live stream, my personal hunch is that Sergio Busquets' decision will be tied to Lionel Messi's. So if Messi can't come to Barcelona, that will most likely see Busquets stay. And if not, we'll most likely see both of them leave and join the same team, or go to the same destination. Now, we will end today's video with two brief updates. The first one is that UEFA are now considering forming an advisory committee made up of former football players and football coaches to advise them on things like new football rules, VAR implementation, the calendar of matches, and things like this, so that way they can get advice from those who have been on the field and know what they're talking about. And there has been a list that's been leaked to the media with possible names that UEFA are now considering. And those names are Mourinho, Ancelotti, Zidane, Maldini, Capello, Zanetti, Figo, Klinsmann, and Lam. Now, I do like the UEFA are considering this committee made up of former players and football managers, because many of the UEFA board of directors have never stepped foot on a football field or even touched a football to begin with. So it's important that they hear advice from people who have played the sports, who have managed teams, and who know better than these executives. But what I don't like is the list of its names, which seems that most of them either Real Madrid former players or Real Madrid coaches. But you tell me, what do you think about UEFA making up this advisory committee? And what do you think about this list of names that has been leaked? Drop a comment down below. Now, the second update is bad news, which is that the Barcelona Femeni have announced that Caroline Graham Hansen has suffered a knee injury in her tendon. So she will be missing the next La Liga match against Atletico de Madrid, where if Barcelona win that match, they will be clinching La Liga title. But it is reported that she won't be missing the semifinals of the Women's Champions League, which will be played against Chelsea. So that's good news, because that will be definitely a tough match. But nonetheless, I have all my hopes in the Barcelona Femeni that not only will they make it to the final, but they will also win the Champions League this season. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.